Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos, Nigeria. A reminder of our top stories. 365 Nigerians from war-torn Central African Republic arrive in Abuja. Widows of police officers killed by members of terrorist group Boko Haram in Kaduna State beg for jobs. The PDP in southwest Nigeria asked the national leadership for a date to choose their executives. And top Al-Qaeda commander in Lebanon dies in custody in a Beirut hospital. All our top stories can be found on our website, channelstv.com, and on youtube.com/channelsweb. To get us on the move, visit m.channelstv.com to view us live on your mobile device. You can also download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS, and Windows phones from their respective stores. And you can interact with Channels Eyewitness feature on our Android and Windows 8 platforms. If you have pictures or videos to share with us, tap on the application on your device, swipe to reveal the Eyewitness menu, and follow the instructions to share your report, pictures, and videos. The House of Representatives has given an assurance that the Joint Conference Committee of the National Assembly, which is responsible for the Constitution review process, will bring its findings to a reasonable conclusion this month. And this is coming from the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Mr. Emeka Ihedioha. He told journalists in Owerri, the Imo State capital, that the Constitution review is at the completion stage and will be given adequate attention once the lawmakers resume plenary on January 14th. Mr. Ihedioha is also promising Nigerians that he and his colleagues will remain steadfast and make policies that will advance and strengthen the nation's democracy.
Begin our legislative responsibilities again on January 14, and we promise Nigerians that we will remain steadfast to ensure that policies that will advance and legislations will make legislation that would help to strengthen our country. It's very important that the country needs all the support we can put together now. Patriotism is a major inspiration for us as a people. We must be patriotic to our responsibilities, that the oneness and unity and prosperity of Nigeria is non-negotiable. 2014 is a defining year, and we enjoy politicians to play by the books, ensure that we bring about the human beings in us, the positive sides of human beings in what we do, and know that we can only lead the people, and people who wish and want you to lead them. So we play our politics with moderation and play our politics with love, and know that only God gives power, and God gives power to whom He so desires.
The Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Mr. Emeka Ihedioha. Now, in continuation of our end-of-year review, we turn our attention tonight to the judicial sector. Our judiciary correspondent, Shola Shoele, reports that with the disciplinary measures meted out by the National Judicial Council in 2013, perhaps the reform of the sector has commenced.
2013 was ushered in with great expectations by members of the public, with the hope that the judiciary would do some house cleaning, especially against the backdrop of the lingering issue of the suspension of the President of the Court of Appeal, Justice Ayo Salami, and the much expected reform of the judicial sector, and in particular the National Judicial Council, NJC. Apart from the failure of the NJC to resolve the issue of Justice Salami till he retired in September 2013, perhaps the much expected reforms of the judiciary can be said to have finally started. In February 2013, the NJC, under the leadership of the Chief Justice of Nigeria, kicked out 2 judges from the bench. Justice Charles Achibong and Justice Thomas Naron were found guilty of professional misconduct, while Justice Abubakar Tauba was placed on a 1-year suspension without pay over the ridiculous sentence he gave in the judgment of the self-confessed police pension thief, Mr. John Yusuf. The NJC also indicted a former Chief Judge of the Abuja High Court, Justice Lawal Gumi, and would have sacked him but for his voluntary retirement from the bench. It is also on record that the judicial body issued serious warnings to two Federal High Court judges, Justice Okechukwu Okeke, now retired, and Justice Maureen Onyetenu, over certain misconducts, including the abuse of ex parte orders. The CJN, Justice Mariam Aloma Mukhtar, in a move that was unprecedented, has also gone after and sacked some judiciary support staff who were established to have facilitated the leakage of some yet-to-be-delivered judgments of the Supreme Court. In March, the Legal Practitioners Privileges Committee, LPPC, under the leadership of the CJN, also suspended a Lagos-based lawyer, Chief Ajibola Aribisala, from continuing to hold the prestigious rank of Senior Advocate of Nigeria, SAN. Apart from Aribisala, a number of lawyers in May also lost their right to practice in Nigeria as the Legal Practitioners Disciplinary Committee of the Body of Benches, under the leadership of Joseph Daudu SAN, debarred 6 legal practitioners, while 2 others were suspended from practicing for the next 5 years. Still pending, however, is the case of the SAN Kunle Kalejaye, who was alleged to have communicated with Justice Thomas Naron during the sitting of the Osun State Governorship Election Tribunal.
There was no petition to the Nigerian Bar Association against that particular lawyer. Okay. What has happened is that there was a petition against the judges who sat on that tribunal. Okay. So in course of, and the complaint was that though they were having undue relationship with some communication with some counsel, and in course of investigating the matter, the panel now indicts a lawyer. Okay. So now we have materials to look at, because we will still have to put the gentleman through our own system of disciplinary measures.
While we await that verdict, there is a clear verdict in the area of the general insecurity in the country that something needs to give, and very fast too. The judiciary was, of course, also affected. In May 2013, gunmen abducted the wife, daughter and driver of a Supreme Court judge, Justice Bode Rhodes-Vival, as they traveled to Edo State in preparation for a wedding ceremony in the family. Others who suffered similar misfortune in the course of the year include an Edo State judge, Justice Daniel Okugbowa, and rights activist Michael Zekome SAN, who was also kidnapped in Edo State.
I therefore call upon the federal government of Nigeria to institute an amnesty program for this very volatile, very angry, very, very desperate youth of Nigeria who believe, rightly or wrongly, that they have been shortchanged by the nation.
Provide education for the people. When they leave school, you must provide jobs for them. The devil finds work for the idle hand, idle mind. So this is a sociological problem that we have to look beyond the immediate effect and probe deeper and be able to solve our problems ahead, because this is the beginning. It's Ozekuma today, it could be anybody tomorrow.
However, the security threats did not prevent the courts from concluding some landmark cases in the year under review. One of such cases was the judgment of the Court of Appeal Lagos, which freed the former Chief Security Officer, Major Hamza Al-Mustafa, who had been convicted in 2012 on charges of conspiracy and the murder of Alhaja Kudrat Abiola. While there is an option of appeal in that case, another landmark case which has finally been laid to rest is that involving a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Chief Olabode George, and 5 former directors of the Nigerian Ports Authority. The Supreme Court held that contract splitting had not become a crime, as at the time the men committed the offense. Also freed by the court is the former Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, over charges of abuse of office during his tenure as Minister of the FCT. 2 Lebanese businessmen, Mustafa Fawaz and Abdullah Tahini, charged to court by the Department of State Security Services on charges of terrorism, were also set free, while a third man, another Lebanese, Tahar Roda, was found guilty. Also found guilty in 2013 was a member of the Boko Haram sect, Kabir Umar, popularly known as Kabiru Sokoto. He was sentenced to life imprisonment for his attempts to bomb a building housing 3 newspaper outfits in Abuja, the FCT. Political cases also kept the courts busy during the year under review. The courts were called to intervene in the Special National Convention of the PDP. They also intervened in the membership of the party's National Working Committee by first removing and then reinstating the National Secretary, Prince Olagunsoye Oyinlola. In December, the PDP urged an Abuja Federal High Court to sack 5 of its governors who defected to the All Progressive Congress (APC).
A lot more cases still remain unresolved, and as 2014 kicks off, it is important that issues such as the high cost of litigation, delay in court proceedings, and poor funding of the judiciary be tackled if this arm of government must continue to live up to its constitutional and historical role. Shola Sheyeli for Channels Television News.
Well, to talk more on how the judiciary fared in 2013, I'm being joined on the news at 10 by a legal practitioner, GT Ogunye. Thank you so much for joining us on the news at 10.
For inviting me. Thanks for inviting me.
Well, that report brought up some issues in the judiciary last year, especially as regards reforms in the sector. But what's your assessment of how the system fared?
I think that in 2013, the judiciary fared from the good to the bad and then to the ugly. The year opened with the pension scam case, and everybody, was dissatisfied with the judiciary. However, the NJC quickly took charge of that situation, and as we had in the report, the judge, Justice Abubakar Talba, was sanctioned by being put on suspension for a year, and that then raised the hope of the people that at least something very positive is happening in the judiciary. And so, in the year, while corruption cases stalled as in previous years, terrorism cases were disposed of with dispatch. And that's salutary because some arraignment that took place in the year were also concluded in the year. Trial was concluded and judgment was handed down. And as we heard in the reports, Kabiru Sokoto bagged life, Umar bagged life, David Edeve, Edmond bagged life in January, and some of these cases are still continuing. So,
okay, well then, sorry to interrupt you there, but you said that because of all the successful judgments that were given in all of these cases, it seemed as if the public's confidence was now reinstated again in the judicial system. And just to further buttress that point, at a forum last year, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Mrs. Mariam Aloma Mukhtar, said public confidence in justice delivery was beginning to nosedive. But then there's still some legal practitioners that say it's completely down. Do you share the same thought?
No. The public expect the judiciary to be above board, like Caesar's wife. And so it's not unusual that there is so much focus on the judiciary. Don't forget that because of the doctrine of separation of powers and because of the doctrine of the rule of law, the judiciary is expected to serve as the guardian angel over the two other arms of government. So the judiciary is on a pedestal that is a little bit higher than the two levels. And so the expectation and the standard of behavior is very high, understandably so. And so, my view is that overall, in the year under review, I think that the judiciary fared well in terms of self-discipline, mean its officials, while in some cases, the judiciary didn't fare as well as we have expected.
Okay, now still looking at some of the issues that affected that sector in 2013, some have argued that the executive should adhere to the constitutional provision of funding the judiciary through the first line charge to boost its independence. Now, how would this positively or negatively affect the system?
Stakeholders have been complaining about implementing resource allocation to the judiciary in terms of budgetary allocation, and so people have been complaining about this. It was in 2011, 95 billion naira, 2012, 75 billion naira, 2013, 67 billion naira, and so there is angst, and people are anxious that next year you may even have something that is lower than 67 billion to the judiciary. And so, yes, the Constitution guarantees that the funding for the judiciary shall be handed over to the head of the courts. At the federal level, this has been adhered to strictly, but not so in all the states of the federation, where the executive arm of government at the state level still putting the judiciary in a situation whereby it cannot, do all that it needs to do in terms of being self-funding, as it is expected by the Constitution. But I guess that, I believe that there is the need to increase the funding of the judiciary. If you compare the judiciary, the whole judiciary, to INEC, for example, INEC is talking about a budget of 95 billion. And I'm just telling you that now that the judiciary got 67 billion last year, federal judiciary. And so, in comparative terms, when you look at what the judiciary has to do, then you agree with me that more funding ought to be made to the judiciary.
Well, thank you so much, GT, for speaking with us on the news at 10.
It's my pleasure.
Well, I've been speaking with the legal practitioner, GT Ogunye, and we've been looking at how the judiciary sector actually fared in 2013. Well, still to come on the news at 10, our focus on health tonight takes a look at family planning. Promises to be an interesting one. Please join us again.